Ooh. Well, here we are. Welcome, everybody. Um, so I know that the majority of you are watching this, are going to be watching this via replay because I had to reschedule when my grandbaby was born, and then I rescheduled recently again because I was not feeling well. And unfortunately, not feeling well not feeling well does not usually stop me from hosting a class. However, I didn't have a voice. So, my genuine apologies. We're going to do part one tonight. We're going to do part two on Tuesday. And so, I'm just going to kind of vibe here, give you guys the information. Usually, the class period is extended because we did have quite a few people who had registered for this class, and I like to give time to answer questions and things like that. Since we do not have that going on tonight, it won't be a full like 2.5 hours. Um, hey, 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 welcome in. Okay, so I don't know why I have this issue. Hold on. Um, I try to pin myself, like it's not doing it. Um, okay, so am I pinned? Hey, thank you so much. Am I pinned? Like, am I the only image that you see, or do you see like that I'm also in here? Okay, that's what I'm trying to make sure of because when I get ready to, I did start the recording. Um, I just wanted to make sure that I'm pinned. So I was saying I'm probably going to be in here alone. I've rescheduled this twice. I already got like seven, 8 messages like, I'm not gonna make it. Is there, are you sure it's gonna be a replay? So I try to leave like 45 minutes at the end for these types of classes for questions and answers and things like that. But so we probably won't be here that long for day one. Day two will be Tuesday evening, and you'll get the replay from that as well. So, being that there's not many of us in here right now, there's just the two of us. I'm going to go through the basics, but then you are welcome to unmute yourself and we can kind of we could kind of riff on like whatever questions you have and experiences, so I can bring those and hopefully more people will be able to join day two. But it's whatever because I'm here and I have a voice today. So what we're going to go over, I think there's really 4 points, right? So what feminine energy actually is, what it's not, how survival mode actually blocks the flow of receptivity. I'm going to teach you like 4 or 5 reset techniques designed for the feminine nervous system. And then we're going to do an exercise to help you identify where your leaks are. Because not it's not tomorrow, but Tuesday is going to be really much more about um, how to work with your feminine energy as it pertains to money, as it pertains to relationships, to manifestations, and all other things, right? So I've got my notes here. I'm hoping that this new setup at least makes it easier for me because I can see what's going on. And then maybe next time I'll turn differently since y'all are looking at curtains. So, anyway, I want to talk first about what feminine energy isn't. A lot of women tend to think that feminine energy is passive energy. Um, And then there's the women who are like, we're not passive. We can be killers and destructors too. I mean, all of that is true, right? We have a spectrum, but more than anything, feminine energy is receptive, right? So receptive really means in your body and your nervous system, and that your nervous system is relaxed enough to open up, to receive life force, to receive intuition, to receive just general information and support. A lot of women's feminine energy is not receptive enough to receive support. So we then feel like we're alone. We have to do everything ourselves. And all of those things put us into survival mode. Some of us are in survival mode, and um, you, I've got a couple of students who are like, my life is okay. Like, I don't have a lot of stress, but for all accounts and taking classes with you, I am clearly in survival mode, and I don't know why. Because it's not just you've been in a bad, a toxic relationship. It's not just you've got a lot of stress, financial stress, worry. You know, it is about your nervous system. And sometimes you've learned this when you were very young. Sometimes you learned that it was better to be seen and not heard. My aunts, my mom came from that generation. It's better to be seen and not heard. So the audacity of their children to speak up, right? If you've ever noticed that dynamics, especially in more people of color, their dynamics is like, if they're older, you can't actually, don't talk to your elders that way. Or like my aunt is famous for saying something and then getting an attitude when she gets a response that has an attitude, because they're still talking to you or us like we're children. But bitch, I'm 50. I'm gonna say what I want to say. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I saw that interaction happen with my mom. My mom was on the phone with me. My daughter came in, she said something. My mom said, tell her to stop cussing. And she could choose other words, and my daughter was like, I could, but I don't fucking want to, so I'm gonna say what the fuck I want to say. And they see that as disrespect, right? Because of their nervous system capacity. They were taught that it didn't matter if an adult was right or wrong. You had to do the things that made the adults comfortable, right? My children were taught to do the shit that makes them comfortable. And so it changes the nervous system. My family, they have issues right now because everybody has a dysregulated nervous system. And they're all fucking with one another and their old dynamics. So sometimes how you were raised, sometimes how your family dynamics and the belief systems that get passed down, sometimes you are literally just birthed into a situation where you're dysregulated. If you're raised by somebody who has bipolar or some mental issues or instability, it happens, right? Regardless of how much that parent loves you. If you are excessively independent, like I can do it all on my own, your nervous system is fucked up. It's not that you can't, we all can do it on our own. We all can. But when help is there, when your nervous system is regulated, help shows up. The things you need show up. The way and the path is created for you. And so that is the feminine energy. Everything opens, not in a way where you can be harvested from and somebody can take from you, but in a way where I promise you this is doing the same thing it did in December when I was on my phone. Like, So you want to be able to show up in a way where what you need comes to you, but you are not so fucking open that people can take advantage of you and whatever. And you need to be able to discern between the two. People's energy changes, right? Energy will shift, energy will change. And so somebody who normally shows up, this is a very good example. Someone who normally shows up in your life who takes advantage of you energetically, and you remove yourself from them, and then you kind of become regulated, and then that person shows up again. Well, your mind, right, says, I already know your pattern. I'm not going to let this happen. You see them, there's a spike, fight or flight. Let's like sing an X, like, fuck no, I already know what you're about. I know what kind of time you're on. I don't have time for you. But if you are tuned in to your feminine energy, you may not always get that spike, because when you start living at a different frequency, people have to show up at that frequency in order for you guys to connect. And I know you'll understand this. It just clicked with me. Um, so in that moment, what they're there for may not necessarily be siphoning energy. They may be showing up to answer a question. They may be showing up to show you how much you've changed. They may be showing up for different reasons, not necessarily just because they're out to get your energy. Why? Because you've changed. If you know that you are on a different frequency and old dude shows up, he could still be trying to circle the block. But if he was trying to circle the block in the old frequency, it would be hit or miss. You know what I'm saying? Like where you were, he wouldn't be, or you would be leaving before he showed up. Y'all would never, because he's down here circling the block and you're up here right now. Make sense? So when you're here and you know you're not down here anymore, but you're here and he shows up, there is a frequency resonance. Doesn't mean he can hold where you are, but there's currently a frequency resonance. And for him to be able to show up in your space a lot means that there's a frequency resonance. Now, if you are not dealing fully with your feminine energy, because I know sometimes it's like, oh no, that nigga here, I gotta it's time to go, right? I don't want to be in the same space. But when I'm fully regulated, my nervous system is regulated, and I am tuned in, tapped into my feminine energy, an ex can call and show up and treat me very well, and I can have a pleasant exchange. I can get something that I want, and then he can't hold that frequency and he will disappear. I literally just had this happen yesterday. Right? And that's more of the reason why I'm telling this story, is because even when I got a client, so I normally work with men, I'm with women, not men at all, right? And I had a situation where a man reached out to me and he just knew I wasn't going to respond, because he was like, after I saw your other videos, I was like, oh, she hates men. No, I don't really. I hate the nature of them and those who succumb to their nature. But because in that moment, not only was my nervous system regulated, I was in my receptive energy. I got something from that engagement, right? From that interacting. But and he had the ability to show up where I was. He actually had the ability to maintain the frequency that I was on at that moment for quite some time. And then I made another shift. And then I was like, oh, I'm not getting enough for you to stay here with me. And so, okay, finish paying me. And now you're no longer a client, right? Because I was in the feminine energy, in my receptive energy. And so when you're receiving, like, when you're receiving, and when you're receiving, it is okay. The exchange energetically is okay because you're receiving, and you should be receiving more than what you're giving, especially to men at most given times. But as soon as that dynamic shift, when you're in that feminine energy and you're fully connected, you're able to be like, yeah, no. And when he had to either give more, right, in order to gain access, he didn't want to because he could not maintain that level. And when he left, right, and when that agreement was over, I was not energetically drained. I didn't feel bad. There was no remorse. There's none of that. When an ex shows up and you get what you get, and then he goes back to what he was, okay, no hard feelings. Maybe I'll get something new from you next time you manage to fix your frequency and meet me here. You just never lower your frequency. So how do we do that, right? Most women are like, I'm exhausted all the time. I feel drained. I can't relax. When there's nothing wrong, I feel like everybody needs something from me. And I definitely have lived that life as a mother of 8. Now I have 6 grandchildren, and everybody needs something all the time. That has not changed. What changed was me and how I regulated my nervous system and how I used my feminine energy. So when I was using my energy in a more masculine way, which is very linear, very straight here, straight here, straight here, straight here, here, this, that, right? Everything's going out, nothing's coming in. You're fucking exhausted. And it will immediately put you in survival mode. Because at that point, it is about survival becomes priority for you. And it is priority over intuition. It's priority over pleasure. It's priority over creativity. When you're in your feminine energy and regulated, always I'm talking about from a nervous system, a regulated nervous system, then you prioritize creativity, you prioritize pleasure, you prioritize intuition. Your intuition will let you know who needs what. How do I serve my children now? It looks like this, right? And it moves and it's fluid and it is very receptive because everybody doesn't need everything all the time. So when I am in my feminine energy, my intuition is way more pronounced than my analytical thought process. When you're in survival mode, receptivity will shut down, right? Intuition shuts down, creativity shuts down. If you do not have a creative, that's going to be number one. If you do not have a creative, pleasurable, intuitive, spiritual practice or outlet, you need to develop one. You have to develop one. What we're not going to do as we talk about feminine energy is try harder. That's never going to be the thing, right? We're not going to try harder. We are going to learn how to relax and go with the flow. And it's the flow of your particular feminine energy. I'm looking for my notes here. So I don't forget anything. So, and I talked about how we move. What does that look like in outside of that? So I said, well, like I've got all these kids, and so instead of giving this kid this kid this, I move more like this. Every kid doesn't get everything. When you're in business or you have a job, it's not a straight input and output. And mind you, sometimes because it's a standard corporate job, it feels very much like this. But you have to take control over how you perform your job. When you start working with your feminine energy, ideas will come up because intuition is going to be more prominent. I could do it like this. I can show up like this. I can go to this meeting in this way, right? And you'll get better results because things have to move. People who are able to do like hybrid, not be in an office all day, people who can go to appointments and meditate in their car and then go to appointments and things like that, right? Energy starts to move different. And things are not set up for that us in that way. I think, who was it? Scotland, Switzerland. I think Switzerland is like the first country that allows you to get paid or requires women to be able to take paid time off during for 1 week every month during their menstrual cycle. That's fucking amazing because none of us are. And I didn't even go, we're going to talk about energy techniques so that you can work with your energy and get it to flow. That's really what tonight and day 2 is about, and regulating and protecting that energy. But you need to be thinking about cycle syncing your life. I usually, and this month was weird because I was sick, but I have a month where I kind of just live in the, not a month, a week where I kind of just live in the bed. So I am still in the transition that they would call perimenopause, which means I don't have, you're not in menopause until you've gone 12 consecutive months with no menstrual cycle. But in perimenopause, and then I guess sometime after that, um, you will eventually stop ovulating. But when you're in perimenopause, you are very much ovulating, right? But you are not bleeding. So there's no blood release every month, but you still ovulate every month. And that's why even more recently, we hear about the menopause babies is what they're calling them. And you can, look it up on TikTok. There's hundreds of women, and it's always happened, right? Because women think, oh, I don't have my period, or they misunderstand when menopause actually hits. And so they're thinking that they're scot-free, they're having sex, and then they're thinking they're not having their period because they're in menopause, and really it's because you got pregnant. Because during perimenopause, you are still ovulating, you're just not doing the releasing, right? It's part of that whole cycle. But cycle syncing your life as much as possible to the rhythm of your body. So that month, that week where you are releasing blood, intuition is at its highest that week every month. Intuition is on point in and beyond, right? Even if you have had a hysterectomy, or some women have like a lot of polyps or cysts and things like that, it doesn't change the fact that you're going through the cycles. What it's changing is what your body, all the things that the the physical body does during those cycles. But energetically and hormonally, it's all of this is still happening for you. You have to count your rhythm, because even even with a hysterectomy, there's going to be a week every month where you are highly, highly turned on, right? That's the body doing the things that it would do when you were ovulating. The week that you feel very much like, I just want to lay down and be left alone, is more than likely the week that you would be on your cycle. The week after, or the 2 weeks after the cycle, is your climb up in energy, your spite, like you're ready to take on the world, like the whole thing, right? You're still having this. So you need to not be in a week where you would be having your cycle and can't figure out, why you don't want to run a marathon, right? You need to plan around the energy. Your energy in your feminine body moves cyclically. Cyclically, did I make that word up? Maybe, but you know what I mean? Like we are cyclical. We are cyclical. So anything that you are doing in your life should be part of this cycle. If it is not, you're working against your feminine energy. A man will go through the 4 stages that we go through over the course of 30 days, right? They go through it in 24 hours. Thank you, sir. They go through what we go through in 24 hours. It takes us 30 days. So they have all the emotions in 24 hours, which is why they can be energized, be sleepy, be hungry, be angry, be elated all in a day and think it's normal. That's not our rhythm. In order to really tap into your feminine energy, right, and how it moves and the protection of your feminine energy, you have to understand your cycle. So one of the first things I want you to do between this class and the next class is look back at how your energy flows. What is your cycle? Right? If you are not tracking, I don't recommend anybody use the, what do they call them? The period trackers anymore. Because everybody, I used to use Eve and all of that, but I also tell my girls, we don't tell the doctors when we're having our periods, when we're not. We don't do any of those things anymore, so that they can't track us, because the men have gone mad. So we're not doing any of that anymore. But you still need to know, what is your cycle? So then your 4 weeks. Okay, this week, and you really, to optimize your feminine energy, you should really be eating in a way that supports you energetically. There are certain foods, warmer foods when you're on your cycle and even leading into it. When you are ovulating and you are burning energy and you are at the top of your game for those 2 weeks and climbing, you could do anything. Eat way more fatty foods because your body's going to burn it all up. It's that type of thing. So I don't have a class on this, but it is on my list for this year to do a class on a Thursday for cycle syncing and then the menopause transition, so that you really understand you need those things to really be able to live fully in your feminine energy. It is important. You got to know what's going on with your body and when, and you're flowing from week to week into different phases. So there's some weeks that you shouldn't really be doing a shit ton of exercise, right? How you work out and how you when you lift weights, you're going to get better results when you're in that ovulation phase, that window, the week before ovulation, the week of ovulation, lift all the weights you want, right? When you're that the week prior to bleeding, you're going to want to do things that are more not as intense or less weight, right? And then the week of your period, like if you do exercise, spend more time in like a Pilates or a yoga style workout. It's the cycle of your body. Okay, so now I've hit on that so much, but I want you to understand that you need to know what's going on with your body, because even when you start doing these particular energy medicine techniques, if you stay out of sync, you don't get the same results. Make sense? So I'm going to do 5 tonight. Okay. And these are going to be some of them. If you've done energy with me before, you may know a couple of these, but the reason is I need you to make sure, one, that you have some energetic protection and boundaries. Two, that you know how to reduce your overwhelm. Doing these tonight will make the ones on Tuesday way more effective, especially if you do them from today until Tuesday. All right. So, brain reset and mental overwhelm. Most of us, almost always, if you're in public, you fucking are overwhelmed. Not every day, but you have moments of overwhelm. If somebody is irritating you, it's a moment of overwhelm, right? If you go to work every day, if you sit in traffic every day, it's overwhelm. So we're going to do what's called the crown pull. And it is part of the sacred shielding. So hopefully, I'm hoping, I know you have, but hopefully everyone else who will be watching this has done it. But this is when you take your hands and you apply pressure, right, at the scalp, and you apply pressure down, and then you pull apart and you move back, and you apply pressure down, and then you move apart. And you do this all the way down. Ugh. Right in this spot right here for the last couple of weeks. I've really felt it right here. And keep moving. Okay, all the way down your neck. And I hope you're doing this with me. And you just keep applying pressure and pulling apart, applying pressure and pulling apart until you get to your shoulders, and you can kind of just hang there for a second and let it go. But this is going to remove overwhelm, and it resets the brain. It's important to have a reset before you say, okay, I'm about to start working with my feminine energy. Reset the brain and do your shielding. If you just do your shielding, it will reset you, and it creates more of a balance, right? So we didn't do that today. We'll start day 2 with the energy shielding exercise because you need that. So the triple warmer turns off your survival mode. So I haven't really taught this, but your triple warmer runs from your temple behind your ear, down your neck to your shoulder, and then off of this ring finger. Triple warmer is really what regulates like the fight or flight. It is always in every human overstimulated completely. So instead of tracing it, and actually how I traced it is the way that you trace it when the is traced backwards is how I just did it. When you're tracing it, you trace it up, right? I'm not going to trace it up because everybody's system is already on overflow. So what we do is we trace it backwards. When you're working with the meridians in your body and you have something, a meridian, say you have your kidneys that are overworking, the way that you calm them is to trace them backwards. Okay. So Triple warmer governs our fight or flight. So instead of tracing it forward, which is going to give it more energy, we're going to trace it backwards. So we trace it backwards by starting at the temple, go back behind the ear and down the neck and shoulder, down the arm, and off of that ring finger, right? And throw the energy down and off, right? If you are ready to smack the shit out of somebody, if you are scared, if you are in a panic, trace your triple warmer in the way that I just did. It turns off your survival mode. Now, one of the very new, one of our very new energy techniques. I don't know. Where did my brain go? I clearly need water. One of our very new energy techniques is the tracing of the womb and the heart in the figure eight, or in the infinity sign, right? So if you take just your hand, and I warm up my hands when I start to do a lot of energy work on myself or other people, right? Because it just intensifies the level of electromagnetic energy, right? That, and so I can feel the energy between my hands. This is an excellent exercise to play with. I do the figure eight every day. Yes. And I'm telling you, it locks you, it protects you, but this allows your body to feel safe. It actually is restoring your feminine energy current. Okay, the feminine energy current gets restored. And energy work is accumulative, right? So the more you do it, the longer it lasts, the stronger it gets. You want to keep doing it every day. So you just hear, sometimes if I'm watching like a video or a movie, I will trace the figure eight over my heart. But more importantly, I want you to start tracing from like where ovary to ovary, you're doing a figure eight, a full figure eight. This restores your feminine energy current. This is something that is not available, has not been taught yet. You need to do this. Do this before you do your exercises, even before yoga. Do this before you go out and do any type of endurance, right? This locks your body down. Do your figure. If you can't do anything else, do a figure eight. It gives better results by itself than I think any other. I'll say this, by itself, it is like massive security for the body. Why? For the feminine body, because it restores your feminine energy current. Our energy as women is dynamic. It is massive. It is like, so let me, hold on a second. Let me just, I'm going to record something real quick. Hold on. Because what I'm going to say here, and I want to record this so I remember to check into it, because here's the thing. If we know that the male body has enough of an electrical current flowing through it to power a small city, it would seem likely that a female body has even a greater current. Why? I mean, we're women. But because we have to create and sustain life, it makes more sense that we carry a larger electrical current. When our electrical current is connected and flowing the way it's supposed to flow, the power that returns to our bodies, it makes us stronger, it makes us faster, it makes us smarter. Our endurance is greater, I promise you. And I know you work out, so test it, right? Do the work and then do the shielding and end with a figure eight, and then do the lift or do that exercise and see what happens. Um, and so I'm looking right now to see if this has, well, it says the human body produces about 100 watts of power average, roughly like a light bulb. But it's never been tested. Okay, as I suspected, it's never been tested. You know why? Because they just recently started testing on us and checking shit. So it is reasonable to assume, because it's saying to me pregnancy involves the body sustaining two interacting bioelectric systems, both the mother and the child. Right. And we have, as women, we do have a greater heart brain coherence and automatic nervous system regulation, right? Ours is way better than theirs. When you do this exercise, I just had to check because that made me so freaking excited, right? It restores our feminine energy circuit. And that's everything. It will make you so much stronger. Now, how do we stop overgiving and emotionally absorbing? That's the next thing I want to show you. So this is related to spleen. And I'm going to tell you that this is why this type of information is why you want to get into the course. And I can't remember, every single course that's coming up is related to like your body and this thing. All the meridians in our body govern specific energies. And sometimes when you combine working two of them or three of them together, it's for a specific output, um, etc. Right? But when I do these classes, I'm teaching you one thing at a time. When you get into the courses, you're able to learn the full meridian system as it is for women, how to trace it, when to trace it, what time to trace it, what combinations to trace for certain things. Like you really do learn how to work fully with your energy system, regardless of what it is. And I'm going to try to put together like a student manual that will be a great reference point. But when women overgive, right, it's the spleen meridian. It completely and totally it collapses. So when we start feeling exhausted, when we overthink, when we people please, when we feel responsible for everyone, and this is like one of my things, um, it collapses your spleen meridian completely. And even if you are doing some other types of energy work, it does not recreate that for us. It just doesn't, because we don't touch our spleen meridian. The spleen meridian runs from the ankle up the thigh, right, up the rib cage, under the arm. So there's not much that takes us from the ankle up the leg, under the arm. But that is your spleen meridian. And it is a tapping, and it's on both sides. Okay, so on both sides. And so what you're going to do is actually do tapping. I already put it in your inbox. There are people literally asking me about this, and everybody got it in about getting in, and everybody got it in their inbox. So what you're going to do is you're going to tap starting at the inner part of your ankle, and you tap all the way up, more so to the side, right? Not up the boob, but up to under the arm, and then do the other side. What's happening now is that, and you do each side about 3 times. What's happening is that you're now allowing the energy, you're kind of moving the energy through that spleen meridian. Exhaustion in the body goes away. Overthinking, you have more mental clarity. So there is less overthinking. When you are in your body and you're present, that desire to please other people goes away. And I really cannot explain why you feel less responsible other than the energy is flowing where it needs to be. And now the mind is not in charge, taking you in all of the 50 million directions that it thinks it needs to go in order to be safe, right? Our brain will tell us, the mind will tell us, do this, do that, because in the past it made you safe. If you make sure everybody's happy, then hopefully they'll make you happy. We already know that shit doesn't work. But the brain is accustomed to sending us through these loops. I don't know why. Right. My brain is sending me through the loop of I don't fucking see myself and I don't know. I did a training in December, and the first day literally was other people on the screen besides me or with me. And I feel like this one's going to look exactly the same way. I'm going to have to figure it out. The people, all the people in the class were like, oh, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And then I fixed it. And now I don't even fucking remember it. No, it's just you on the screen. Okay. So I'm just paranoid because I was like, everybody's going to think I'm fucking crazy. Anyway, 2 or 3 times, 3 times. If you're just doing this, you've never done it before, do it at least twice a day. The energy flowing stops the mind from taking control of the body. The body has what it needs. The body has everything that it needs when the energy is flowing right. Okay, so do this every morning. If you do the energy shielding, you end your energy shielding with figure eights, right? It's just, you're just extending your routine, and you tap up the body. If you are tapping up the body and you're doing your energy shielding at night, do and go to bed, right? Because the more you do it, the stronger you get, the longer it lasts. I can't tell you enough. So when you finally get a full-blown routine, as you learn new things, you can put those in your routine. Your full energy work will not take you more than 10 minutes a day. By the time you've built up a 10-minute routine, you're going to be so strong. The way that your energy flows will be easy. Adding one thing makes it better, right? But it's not, you're all, you, it just gets better and better and better. And you will learn a routine, which it should be your base routine, should be your energy shielding. Okay, then you add these things to your energy shielding. If you do them twice a day, you're not going to have any issues. You may have to come back and learn, well, what do I need to do for headaches? And then you only do that thing if a headache shows up, right? But as you develop your full routine, you'll have less and less headaches. What do I do when I feel intimidated by men? Right? We're going to go over that tomorrow or Tuesday. But okay, I felt a little intimidated. I wasn't as strong in my body. Let me run this right quick. and build that up, or add it to my routine, because what I'm not going to do is be intimidated by, this way ever again. Right. So everything you learn, there will come a time. I mean, it's going to be impossible to like really do every single energy point ever in one day, but you're going to have a very good feminine based routine, and that is going to um and that will expand, and that will change as you change, as things develop. Like I said, I don't know when I said this, but I'm sure maybe it was a live, right? My daughter's energy is so strong since 2 years ago, when I took her energy, when I was able to just take her energy down, in that viral video from, like, I don't know, 2022, 2023, whatever. I can't take her energy down like this anymore. Right? I cannot. We did an experiment where even if she goes a week without doing her shielding, I still can't. And then what happened? No, the first time it was about 3 days. And then 3 days I could pull it down. And then I taught her to do the infinity symbol over her womb. She added that to her shielding that she does, and she only does it in the morning. She doesn't even do it at night. Sometimes if she's going out with a lot of people, she may do it before then. She also does the symbol that we draw on our arms. But this year I'm getting it tattooed. So that's all she does. And now I can't pull her down. We went a whole week and a half, and she went out. I figure eight my wrist too, right? So they have the way that I do it. I've got like 4 8s on my wrist with a rune symbol, but for protection. But I can't pull her down, right? Even if she went a week and a half, I think, almost 2 weeks, and she went out. Like, she went out to a children's birthday party. She went out with friends. She did all this stuff. And coming back and not doing any protection work, I still couldn't pull her down. The people that she really don't fuck with, that she tries to stay away with, she ended up running into some of those people. They didn't even bother her. She was like, energetically, I'm a new person, because I can't even be bothered. My energy was so strong. She was like, it was very different being out amongst people with this level of energetic protection. So you've got to figure 8. Now, how do you maintain energetic boundaries? As women, right, you want to have an energy, right? You want your energy to be expanded and not collapsed. When our energy is smaller than our physical body, people will get very, very close to you. People are very comfortable being, your space is here. So if they're right here, they don't even have an energetic sense that they're too fucking close, right? But if you take up space, if you are in space, right, it should be at least 8 feet around. Anybody within 8 feet of you, you should definitely always be able to feel their energy. And then how you start, and there's a whole course on how your energy as it pertains to other people's energy. So how you read that, how you protect that, how you maintain that, right? Because sometimes, like in a line, if you're standing in line, people are going to be within 8 feet of you, but you read that energy and you alchemize that energy so that they can feel your boundary, and they're very respectful, right? So, but there are times when our energy is this big, it usually also means that your aura has collapsed in. Okay. And you don't want to be living with a collapsed aura. This technique is called the central meridian reclaiming. This is your energy sovereignty. If you feel like if you're one of those people who see a lot of people and then go, oh, let me get by without touching, this is the work right here that you have to do for your feminine energy. Feminine energy is expansive. Feminine energy is massive. Feminine energy takes up fucking space. Right? I choose who I share energy with. Like if I'm walking down the street, I walk in the center. I just do. And people move out of my way. And other really beautiful women with their beautiful energy, we just share the space, right? It's not an intimidation. It's not any of those things. But I intentionally take up space. I went through a period of life where I didn't. I was just trying to like not be seen. And it was very hard because that is really who I am. But dimming your light to make other people more comfortable is bullshit. That is not feminine energy. Dimming yourself, quieting yourself, pretending to be fucking neutral. All that shit it's not at all feminine energy. It's not what feminine energy is. It is showing up. It is taking up space. It is allowing people to help you, allowing people to do things for you. And sometimes it's other women too, right? Because there are some really amazing women and I'm like, hey, you're so beautiful. I'm so proud of you. And I want to help them. I want to do things for them and vice versa. That's okay. It is okay as a woman to show up and want to help and give to other women. Real feminine energy does that. We want to help other feminine energy all the time. That is what we are most attracted to. That is what we are most aligned to. And I don't mean necessarily sexually, although it could include that. I just mean that feminine energy likes to be around feminine energy because then everybody can kind of flow. Everything flows together. So the central meridian reclaiming. This is your energy sovereignty. The central meridian is the body's main energetic boundary system. So when women feel invaded, touched, drained, it means that your central meridian has collapsed. So by collapse, there's not really tubes, right, that are running in the body between all the muscles and the bones. It's not tubes when you think about like your meridians, it's space. It's the space between the organ and the muscle and the fascia. And it's that space where energy needs to move and flow. When those things are blocked, then things are shifted, muscles get tight or swollen, there's inflammation. And so now there's not as much space like it should be for the energy to move in between. So when you force the energy through, it makes things adjust and starts to make space for that energy. Thank you, Maya. That looks good. Thank you. So this is pretty easy. Okay. The central meridian, this is your central meridian, right up the center of the body. So you start at the pelvic bone, right? Get all that electromagnetic energy flowing. You start at the pelvic bone and you want to run your hand flat up against the body. You want to run it up to the crown, run it up to the crown, and you want to keep moving it, right? This and you want to touch the body the whole way, right? The reason that we're able to use our hands when we're doing energy work to move energy is because our hands are like magnets, right? So if you put your magnet on one magnet, the energy in your body, you can make the magnet move. The energy, it's a magnet. So you want to just pull it up, touch all of the body, and pull it up and touch all of the body, and pull it up and touch all the body. So you go from the navel to the heart, to the throat, right? To the lips, to the third eye, and off the crown. At least 3 times at a time. But it brings the energy up. Now, mind you, if you're feeling spacey and you're stressed, right, I do have the energy where the exercise where we go down into the body and down the legs. And that brings your energy down into the body. You can do both because you want energy to be flowing. But today, for the sake of specifically feminine energy and understanding how to reclaim our energetic boundary, this helps you expand. Okay, so you're rubbing it up and out. You're rubbing it up because when your energy starts to fill this way, we expand. I feel like all my S's and stuff still sound crazy. So this, because of the whatever the fuck this thing is in my mouth. Okay, so it restores your energetic boundaries. It increases your personal authority. If you've got to show up in a place where there's a lot of men or people that you are intimidated by or people that you need to command their energy, right? Then you've got to pull it up. Pull it up. It pulls the energy up into the body. And you can say something like, this channel decides who gets access. I decide who gets access, right? I'm deciding who gets access. So you're not just free flowing, open for anybody to access you. And that's the key. And we're going to definitely go into that tomorrow, because how do you be receptive and not give access to everyone? Right? How do you be receptive and not have everyone be able to take whatever they want? So before we go tonight, I want to talk about your personal leaking of energy and how to detect that. So if you are able, like if you could say, where is my energy most depleted from? Right? Where do you feel the most tired? When you're exhausted, is it that the energy is like you don't have the mental capacity? Are you exhausted? Like your heart is just like, I can't take it. Is it your stomach? Like, do you feel someplace in your body? That's the first indication. Your second indication is areas of life, right? Your interaction with people. You don't have the mental capacity. So then from there, it's like, is it in romantic relationships? Is it with family members? Is it with children? Is it work environment? Is it casual associations? Is it in your hobbies or clubs? Is it in your religious sort of thing, right? That is the two places that you look. Where are you leaking energy? So when you are leaking energy and you feel like you don't have the mental capacity, my mom used to call it the bandwidth, right? I don't have the bandwidth for this, right? That is very, very much mental. So take a note of that. When you are leaking energy mentally, the thing that you want to do is take one hand here and one hand on the back of the neck. I always get an immediate response here, but hold this for about 5 minutes. Okay. When you do that, you are sending the signals to the brain so that you're bringing more oxygen and more blood to your frontal cortex. It will allow some of the mental strain to dissipate. And now we're not doing this so that you have more to give, so that you are not, it's so that you feel better. The next class will talk about how to cut off all of those things. So try that. And, hold here 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can do. Sometimes I just lay it down, so I'm not really holding anything. I'm just resting. But, and then tomorrow we'll talk about, like, if it's children, how to lock them off. And I've taught some of that, right? Figure eight them fucking kids, figure eight everybody in your fucking house all the time. But if it's the work environment, if it's family, if it's church, if it's whatever, we're going to talk about your relationship as it relates to those things tomorrow. And your feminine energy in relationships. I want to make sure that we have time. Not tomorrow, Tuesday. It is just my habit because we usually do them back to back. So it's Tuesday. But work on that. Okay, hold this. Just hold it. If you hold it tonight, hold it as you're going to bed at night. It doesn't have to be multiple times a day. That is going to expand your capacity and give you some mental relief. So, okay, so feminine power is really not about being physically stronger. It's about becoming energetically organized in the body. Because then when you're energetically organized and your system is working properly, you attract instead of chase. You can sense danger early. Then you know when this person shows up, if you can meet them where you are with no danger, or you need to send them away immediately. And you stop absorbing other people's chaos. When your energy is properly organized, even if you run into somebody who is chaotic and crazy, you don't absorb it, so you're not actually affected by it. So the things I want you to do between now and class 2 is the crown pull. Start doing that figure 8, not just on your womb, but also over your heart, and trace that meridian. Okay. And also do the energy. Do all of them. Do all 5. These, though, the 3 that I named, they will change your nervous system in over the next 3 days. Like literally doing those regularly will change your nervous system over 3 days. 72 hours. Your nervous system will have a new pattern. It will make it very, very easy then for the new exercises that we learn on Tuesday to be integrated and for you to get some instant results. So before I go, do you have any questions? I can't believe how cool it is that it's just us kind of chilling out. Okay, awesome. Thanks for showing up. Sorry I had to do so many reschedules. Your sister, mama. So hopefully more people will join us on Tuesday. Otherwise, I'll be here. Hopefully you will be. And we'll go through some scenarios. And then there's like 6 or 7 exercises that we're really going to focus on Um, and anything else that, I get led to share between now and then. But I think we have a class Monday, and then we'll have this class Tuesday. And yeah, if you need me between then, you know how to reach me. Thanks so much for showing up tonight. I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.